Hello, welcome to The Writing Engineer. I'm Andrew Griffin. Today we're going to be talking about odd books that you might have in your collection. I myself have a lot of books that I've accumulated over the years, and I enjoy most of them. But some of them stick out as particularly strange, not just because of their story, but maybe because of the background which they were acquired, or just, some unusual little tidbit of information that they contain inside them. So we'll be going over, I think I have got 5 books that I'd like to show you, which I think are particularly odd for my collection. The first book that I've got is a non-fiction book, which I don't have too many of. It's entitled Under the Black Flag. And I bought this book because it was 25 cents at a library book sale. It's actually a very fascinating read, and it's all about pirates. The author goes on to mention that one of the best written books about pirates is Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, one of my favorite books and one of my favorite movies. Not the new one, the one with Charlton Heston, not the original one, the one with Charlton Heston. I believe that particular movie does a fantastic job at portraying Robert Louis Stevenson's original vision for the book. The second book that I have, you may have heard of. It's called The Night Circus. I got this one on a recommendation from a radio channel that I listen to, WBUR. And the strange thing about this book is that while it is a fantasy book, it has magic in it, but I was more than halfway through the book before I realized that the main conflict had already started and I wasn't even aware of it. This is unusual for me in a book. Usually I know right away what's going on and who the protagonist and antagonist actually are. But this one was different. The protagonist and antagonist were 2 people, but neither of them could be clearly stated as the protagonist or antagonist. They were both trying to one-up each other in terms of magical ability. It's a great read. I recommend you try it. Next one is from one of my favorite authors, and it's a departure from his main series of books. And I found it interesting because it was so vastly different from his normal series. This is by Terry Pratchett, one of my favorite authors, and it's called The Long Earth. It's a story about a boy who was born to a woman from Earth, but he was born in a different dimension. It's all sorts of weird. They eventually figure out how to travel through dimensions, but this boy, when he grows up to be a man, can do it by himself. He doesn't need any other devices. He's just able to do it. And it's a really big departure from Terry Pratchett's usual stuff from the Discworld, which I absolutely adore. My next book, I am sure that all of you have heard of. It's a Harry Potter book. In fact, it's the 6th book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the HalfBlood Prince. But what's unusual about this book is that I bought it in Argentina while I was going to a wedding. We learned from one of my wife's friends that she was going to be getting married in Argentina. She invited us to the wedding, and she invited my wife to be in the wedding. Now, what were we going to say? Of course we're going to say yes. A wedding in Argentina? That's fantastic. And then we looked at the calendar and we realized, oh my god, that was the same week that Harry Potter was going to be released. What were we going to do? We had plans to go to the bookstore. We were going to stand in line. We were going to dress up as Harry Potter and stuff. So instead we were in Argentina. And on the day it was released, we went down to the bookstore and we bought Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, the Argentinian edition, but in English. And we spent the entire weekend, every free moment that we had in our room, reading the book to each other. We had a fantastic time at the wedding, and a fantastic time reading the book to each other. The last one that I have is my second nonfiction book. And the reason why this one is so strange is that it actually pertains to a show that I really like. The show is called Rurouni Kenshin. It's an anime about a samurai who used to be one of the best samurai during the Meiji era. And he retired. He vowed once the war was over, once the revolution had finished, he was never going to kill again. and so he still retained his sword as a samurai, but his sword had a blade on the wrong side, so that whenever he fought anyone, he was guaranteed never to kill them. Oh, he severely injured quite a few people. But then I realized, then I was given a book that someone had found. It's called, oops, that's backwards. It's called Shinsengumi. Sorry, that was backwards too. It's called Shinsengumi. And this story is a non-fiction account of the people who were defending the feudal lords and the emperor during the Meiji Revolution, when the Meiji Revolution was trying to overthrow the emperor. When the Meiji Revolution was trying to overthrow the emperor and take control of the government. It's a fascinating insight into the men who were on the opposite side of the revolution, who actually lost the revolution. And it was really neat because some of the characters that were in the show that I really, really liked showed up in the book. They were real people. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, those are 5 of the books that have the most interesting stories in my collection. I'd like to know what books that you have in your collection, which may have interesting stories in them. Leave your comments below. If you want to follow me, go ahead and click the bell on the bottom, and you'll be notified as soon as I put up a new video. If you like today's content, click the thumbs up. Again, thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and have a good night.